I mean, if somebody's oppressing you, is wronging you, then you have two things in front of you. The first one is you raise your matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You ask Allah Azza wa Jal to free you from this wrongdoing, this oppression, and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you in this situation. I'm not sure what's happened to you exactly, if your rights have been taken away. Then you ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help you in that, regardless of what the situation is. As for the people who are wronging you or doing something to you which is not right, then you can speak to them. You have the right to speak to them, to tell them to stop what they're doing. Or if you feel that taking the matter to a separate body, maybe if it's at work, you can take it to your manager. You speak to your manager, or you can speak to, depending on what country you're in, you have union representation. They can help you and advise you on these issues. Then the bottom line is what it is. There's no harm in you telling those people to refrain and stop what they're doing to you. And if rights have been taken away from you, then you have full right. You have full, it is allowed for you to ask for your rights and to do what is necessary for you to get your rights. Allahu Alam. May Allah Azza wa Jal make it easy for you.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Shaykh, our next question, we have 90 seconds, and our next question is, what's the power of dua? How could we understand the power of dua?
Now, so if we understand that the Prophet ﷺ said, اتقوا الدعوة المظلوم, that the Prophet ﷺ said to Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu when he sent him to Yemen, fear and be aware of the supplication of the one who feels they've been oppressed. فإن ليس بينه وبين الله حجاب, because between that person and that supplication reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was nothing preventing it. Even if that person was a non-Muslim, you had wronged them, and they called upon Allah for them to receive their right, or to, if there was some justice to be on that individual, that supplication could be answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to be very careful concerning the rights of people. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. We're brothers and sisters, we're going to go on a short break, and after the break we'll be here, and you can call us live on 0203 515 0769. You could also message us with your question on our WhatsApp, and you can also alternatively message us on YouTube with your questions, and we'll put them to Shaykh Wasim inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we'll be back after this quick break, after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to your show, Ask Eman. We're live here up until 8:30, inshallah, taking your questions for our Shaykh Wasim. Brothers and sisters, as usual, you can call us on 0203 515 0769, and alternatively, you could send your questions to our WhatsApp, or you can also comment on the comment section of our YouTube live stream, inshallah. Shaykh, we have a question from one of our viewers now, inshallah. And the viewer says, Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Please help me with this urgent question. Are parents of potential suitors allowed to speak with or interview the daughter of the other parents, and vice versa? Can the parents of the boy, the girl, interview the boy?
Right.
Is this permissible? And is this,
Yeah.
if they're not mahram to her, is this
Okay.
possible?
So, if we look at certain realities, and that is that when a Muslim man and a Muslim woman, there is the intention to see one another with a view to possibly getting married. They both want to get married. They want to see issues on suitability. They have to understand that down the line, or the whole process is also involving the families as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of it. And you don't have a situation where the family members are ostracized. I mean, they're not part of it. They are part of it. Okay, they are part of it. So, for example, the sister will have, if her father is present, he will want to ensure that and make sure that his daughter is in a good situation from all situations.
Mm-hmm.
She will seek counsel from her father as well. But the most important thing, the most important conversation, or that what goes between, is the two individuals. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as though that you find that the parents are interviewing the other more than their son, for example. The son should, if it's don't call him a boy, if it's the man, if he's speaking to a sister, brother speaking to a sister, and
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing is for him to converse with her and to find out what's happening, and vice versa. If you find the parents are doing more talking than everybody else, then the balance doesn't seem quite right there, to be honest with you. But it doesn't mean that they don't have any part in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a set kind of how much can they say and what they can say. The most important is the two individuals, and there's compatibility between them two. And what you're looking for is deen, akhlaq, religion, characteristics, or good character, good manners. That's the most important thing. Along with having counsel from your parents helping you, then that really should be enough. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Sheikh, also we see with the young people nowadays, this issue of marriage coming to us, or it always crops up in topics and discussions. How could we advise young people to, for example, a lot of people want to get married, but they don't know what it means to get married or what it takes to be in a marriage.
Yeah.
So how could we advise people before they enter into a marriage?
So there is, I think, in certain places, I know in Malaysia,
Mm-hmm.
that before they get married, they go on a course. They go on a pre-marriage course, and they understand the responsibilities of the husband and wife from an Islamic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get married, they are, mashallah, fully informed of their responsibilities, the responsibilities of others, and how to communicate and how to speak and things like that. And that's gone a long way, mashallah, in ensuring, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helping the couple in having a successful marriage. It really does go a long way. So I think this is a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
and something that maybe can be implemented. It's not just in Malaysia; there are other places as well. That if the marriage courses can be set up, that people have the opportunity to attend, what it means to be married, responsibilities and things like that, as opposed to people who've already got married and then they find they've got all these issues and need counselling and whatnot. But reality is that that's also a reality. So you need to have that service in place as well. So that's one side of it. The other side is try to remove the obstacles which prevent people from marrying, like maybe people's preferences and what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You need to lower what you're looking for in a spouse and realize that you don't find perfection in this life. All of us have deficiencies in different ways, whether it's in their looks or their character and things like that. Everyone has differences. Nobody's perfect. So you need to be realistic in the spouse that you're looking for, and the parents as well should not be an obstacle in helping their sons and their daughters marry. This is there's a lot of things that can be really mentioned in answering this question, but these are some of the things that just come to my mind. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Shaykh, one of our other viewers has mentioned, has asked the question, saying, Assalamu alaikum. Why do some people have an easy life or a nice and smooth life, for example, people who are rich and famous?
Yeah. Well, the fact that, you see somebody who is rich and famous, what gives you the impression that they have a good life or happy life? You have to understand that happiness isn't understood or judged or measured by how much money or how many cars or homes that you have. That's not the measurement of how we understand happiness. You may find a person who doesn't have very much but has contentment and is very happy with what they have. It's also not a sign if a person has been given a lot. This is not a sign that Allah Azza wa Jalla is pleased with that person. The fact that Fir'aun had so much, if Fir'aun had so much, Haman had so much, was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with them? No. And they were destroyed ultimately. So we shouldn't be deceived. And the shaitan can try to deceive us that, these people have so much, you have so little. Happiness, or that Allah Azza wa Jalla is pleased with a person, is not measured by how much they have, but rather it is measured by how grateful that individual is, regardless of what you have. So even if you've been given a little, you may find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts blessings in that what you have. So you find that person is content, that person is satisfied, they don't complain, and they are happy, alhamdulillah. Don't suffer from stress, don't have bills, don't overspend, not thinking about how I'm going to protect my money. Don't have those worries. But a person who has all this money, how they're going to protect their money, taking out this policy and that policy, and they end up, maybe having all these worries and stresses and can't sleep properly, has to take tablets to sleep and whatnot. And this is well documented and well known. So happiness is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is not real happiness is not something that's purchased, it's not bought. But contentment and happiness is found in remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as far away as you think that may be. This is the reality, alhamdulillah. May Allah Azza wa Jalla allow us to find contentment, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be those whom He is pleased with. Ameen.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Another of our viewers asked, how do I ask Allah for forgiveness if I've been rude to my mother?
Okay, so if you've been rude to your mother, then this is a major sin, no doubt. So first and foremost, you need to rectify that situation, and unreservedly, without any conditions, you need to apologize to your mother and make sure that the relationship with you and your mother is as it should be. And you ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to forgive you, repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you, to be patient, to be humble as well, because maybe the person is saying that, well, it's kind of like 50% my fault, 50% my mother's fault, so I'll apologize 50%. We'd say in this, don't work out like this, don't think like this. You want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that your mother is pleased with you, your mother's happy with you, okay? No matter what happens. So resolve the situation with your mother in the best way that you can. Be humble and ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to forgive you of any wrongdoing that you have done. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala join your hearts together. Ameen.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Our next question from one of our viewers is, Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. And this is from YouTube. If a person can't remember if they have done one sajda in salah or two, what should they do if they realize before reciting at-tahiyat or during the at-tahiyat?
Okay, so a doubt that comes to a person in salah is of two types. There is the doubt which is, they have no idea, 50-50. But the thing is, what can help you in this position is you ask yourself, because that may come to you, this is my first or second sajda. Did you just say Rabbi ghfirli or not? Because Rabbi ghfirli is the supplication that you will make between the two prostrations. If you didn't say it, then you can maybe you can just indicate that whether you have done the second or whether you're on the first one or second one. If you think to yourself, I just said Rabbi Ghfirli, then you know you just done one second, you need to do another one.
Yeah.
Okay? So try to think about these things. So if you have no idea, then you can consider it that you've only done one sajda. You perform the second sajda, and then you perform two prostrations at the end. If you're mostly sure that I'm pretty sure I've done two. I'm pretty sure I've done two, and I'm basing on because I just said, well, I can remember something vaguely. Then you go straight into at-tahiyyatu lillah, and then you finish the salah. That's it. There's no need for you to do anything else.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. We have 40 seconds, but also if the person has already completed their salah, what can they do in that position? And they remembered that they haven't done the two.
Okay, if they've finished their salah and they're not sure. In fact, there's a couple of scenarios which I'd like to explain in some detail. Maybe you can explain it after the break. If that's
Inshallah, we'll do that.
Okay, inshallah. Barakallah feek.
Brothers and sisters, we're going to go to our next break, inshallah, shortly, and we'll see you soon. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, viewers. Welcome back to Ask Eman. This is your show and your platform to ask your questions, any Islamic questions that you may have for Shaykh Wasim to answer them today, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, as usual, you can call us on 0203 515 0769, and you can send us your questions via WhatsApp, as well as sending your questions onto the YouTube link, commenting on the YouTube link, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we're here up until 8:30 taking your questions. And as I said, this is a platform for you to ask your questions directly to Shaykh Wasim, and he'll be able to answer them as best he can, inshallah. Shaykh, before the break we were discussing the salah, and we were discussing if someone has completed the salah but they've missed out the sujood, what should they do in that situation?
Okay.
You said there were two scenarios.
Yeah, again, it's like I mentioned in the salah, that nisyan or forgetfulness is of two types. The first type is that you're mostly sure, and especially the shaitan can come to you and try to cause you confusion in your salah and after your salah, which causes the person to repeat their salah again and again and again. It's problematic. Again, if you're mostly sure of something, then you ignore the waswasa.
Yeah.
Ignore it. Once you've offered your salah, okay, I would say to you, you've offered it. Only if you are sure that you did not, you're sure, mostly sure that you didn't do something, then you go back to and you make up for that part of the salah that you think that there's a deficiency. I only prayed 3 out of 4 rakat. I'm mostly sure that I didn't do that. So you go back within a very, very short space of time. You just perform that remaining rak'ah, and then you make two prostrations of forgetfulness, and then you finish the salah. Okay, so only if you're mostly sure that you didn't do it, then there's need for you to go back. Otherwise, you don't go back.
Shaykh, with this scenario where people either overthink the salah or think that they've made a mistake, also with wudu, how can one kind of train their brain to kind of leave off it, or have assurance that I've done my wudu, or I've done my salah perfectly, let me leave it?
Okay, so the issue of having any doubts about what they're doing, if they've done it properly. Now, you go through a process, and you say to yourself, I know how to make wudu. I learned to make wudu when I was a child. So that's not in question. So when a person makes wudu, likewise their salah. After they finished it, and sometimes during it, the shaitan will say to them, did you do this, did you do that, maybe you didn't do this. You need to ignore that. You really do need to ignore that. At the end of the wudu, and then you start investigating and looking around on your body where don't do that. Don't justify these doubts that are coming to you by investigating on your body where there's a dry, tiny little, don't do that. Just ignore that. Say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. For example, you made your wudu, just go and pray. Okay, and that's the way that you will get over these doubts that come to you from the shaitan. And you become stronger and stronger to the extent that eventually it just doesn't bother you at all, inshallah ta'ala. But you must not entertain the doubts. You must not. I know it's difficult, but you ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to help you. No matter how much the urge is to look and start investigating, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And the more you do that, the stronger you'll become, bi'idhnillah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. One of our viewers has messaged via YouTube asking if a person has an excuse to join salah, i.e. dhuhr and asr, do they need to pray them straight away, or away one after the other, or can they delay praying the second salah?
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So if a person they're on a journey, for example, which is justifiable reason for them to join the salah, then there are many of the ulama of the view that if you're going to join your prayers, whether you join them early, let's say dhuhr and asr, you're going to pray dhuhr and asr in dhuhr time, or you're going to delay dhuhr until asr time. So some of the madhahib are of the view that you would pray them without a long gap between them. You should not separate them with a gap. And that being the case, if you're going to take this rukhsa, you're going to take this license that has been given to us, alhamdulillah, then maybe it's better not to leave a gap if it's unnecessary. Okay, so if you prayed your dhuhr early, then you pray asr immediately after that. Or if you delayed your dhuhr into asr time, then again you pray your asr straight after you prayed your dhuhr. Allahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Shaykh, one of our other viewers on YouTube has messaged saying, if they read Surah Fatiha in Salah, how long does the next surah that they're going to read have to be? Is there a specified length?
Yeah. So on this issue, after you've recited Surah Al-Fatiha, which is one of the pillars of the prayer, it's a must. an absolute must for you to recite Al-Fatiha. Then after that you can recite, what is easier for you to recite, whether even if it's one ayah, even if it's Ayat al-Kursi, which is one ayah. You can recite Ayat al-Kursi, that's allowed inshallah ta'ala. So whether it's one ayah or two ayahs or a very short surah, it really goes back to what you have memorized inshallah ta'ala. But it has to be at least a complete of an ayah. You wouldn't, for example, recite half an ayah. You should recite the complete verse.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Our next question here is...
If I just mention while you're doing that there is sometimes Muslims, they make things very difficult for themselves in that because they're unaware of what is an obligation in the salah as to what is a sunnah. So there are certain elements of the salah, or what you can even consider to be a pillar. So it is upon the Muslim really to understand what is it that actually makes the prayer, what elements of the prayer I have to do, and if I don't do that it can affect the validity of the prayer. And what are those elements of the prayer which are considered sunnah, recommended for me to do? I mean, if I don't do it, then it doesn't affect whether the prayer is valid or not. So I would recommend the brothers and sisters really to maybe look at this a little closer so they don't fall into these issues, inshallah. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Brothers and sisters, we are live and the show will be ending soon, inshallah. So brothers and sisters, call us on 0203 515 0769 and get your questions here to us. And that is the fastest way to get your questions to Shaykh Wasim and to the studio, inshallah. Otherwise, you can message us with your questions on WhatsApp, and you can comment on the YouTube live stream in the comment section, inshallah. Shaykh, my next question is, Dhul Hijjah is coming up, and for those who aren't going to Hajj, what acts of worship can they do?
Yeah, so the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and we're in Dhul Qa'dah at the moment. What are we in now in Dhul Qa'dah? Do we know exactly what date it is? Anyway, it's not too far away, maybe like 3 weeks away until the beginning of Dhul Hijjah. And these are the very best 10 days of the whole year, subhanallah. The best 10 days of the whole year, including Ramadan. Better than those days. So the Prophet ﷺ told us that there are no actions that are more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than when they are done, than days that are these actions that they are done on these particular first 10 days. So as Muslims, we do as much as we can, giving charity, maybe arranging, if you're not going to make Hajj, have a qurbani done, and you can arrange with maybe a trustworthy charity that slaughtered sheep or cow or camel is distributed to poor people in another country. Or if you do it in your own country and it's allowed for you to do that, then mashallah you should try to arrange that. And there's only one animal that's enough for you. One sheep is enough for the whole house. You should try to do that as well. If some of the ulama have the view that in fact it's an obligation. If you have the financial means, you should really do it. The Jumhur, the majority of the view, is not an obligation, but they'll do state that if a person has the financial means, it's really not befitting of the believer to leave it. Okay, so you can fast on these days as well. This is highly recommended for you to fast from the first 10 days. Obviously, on the 10th day you don't fast. It being the day of Eid, it's not permitted for you to fast on the day of Eid, but you can fast all the other days if you wish. So these are very special days, and try to concentrate and do as much ibadah as you can, and Allah is best.
Shaykh, with the qurbani, would you have to do it at a certain specified time? Would you have to do it before Eid, so it reaches on Eid, for example? Yeah,
so at the moment a person intends to have a qurbani, a sacrifice done, whether it's before the 10 days they start, or person decides that now I have the financial means and it's on the 5th, 5 days have gone, that's absolutely fine. If you're going to do that, the person who's arranging it, then they should refrain from trimming their nails and any hair on their body, and that will be then done after Salat al-Eid. The sacrifice is done after Salat al-Eid, so that the people can they can have something to eat on that day. It's very important for them.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Shaykh, one of our questions here, we have 90 seconds, is how do we perform tayammum?
Tayammum, mashallah, is very simple, and that is, as is mentioned in hadith, it is the intention, and that it is the striking of the earth, soil, or a stone, okay, then wiping the face, okay, and hands like this, and that is it, up to your wrists, not up to your elbows, okay, so you strike once, and you wipe your face, your hands like this. That's tayammum, alhamdulillah.
And does the soil have to be pure or?
Yeah, no doubt, it has to be pure. But if you don't have access to like pure dust or sand or something like that, then it's allowed for you to wipe over a natural rock as well, inshallah ta'ala. You can do that as well as another option for you in making tayammum.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh.
Barakallah.
Brothers and sisters, we're going to be going to another break. This is our last break of the program, and we'll come back for our last segment, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we are here live up until 8:30 taking your questions, and you can call us on 0203 515 0769. Alternatively, you can send your questions to our WhatsApp, or you can comment on the YouTube live stream, inshallah. But brothers and sisters, again, as I mentioned, the quickest way to get through to us is by calling us to our studio line, inshallah. But until after the break, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, viewers. Welcome back to Ask Eman. This is our last segment of today's program, brothers and sisters. So you can call us on 0203 515 0769 to take part in the program and ask any of your Islamic questions that you need answered by Shaykh Wasim, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, also you can message us on WhatsApp with your questions, and you can message us on YouTube, on our YouTube live stream in the comment section with any questions you may have for us today, inshallah. Without further ado, Shaykh, we do have a question here from one of the viewers, and the viewer says, Assalamu alaikum. Shaykh, what is the benefit of moving your fingers in tashahhud?
Bismillah. On this issue of moving the finger or pointing with the finger in the tashahhud, there are a number of different views concerning that. There isn't just one opinion. And there are some of the ulama that you only raise the finger at a particular point in tashahhud and you put it back down when making the kalima of La ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. There are others who have the view that you just point with it, don't move it at all. There are others who are of the view that you move it quite slowly, and then there are others who are of the view that you move it quite vigorously, but not too much, but very quickly like this. I mean, all of them are based, these views are from the ulama, we respect them all, and they're based upon valid interpretations of different hadith. Now, as for those who do move their finger, then there is a hadith which is in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah. Many of the ulama they deemed it to be hadithun hasan, that the moving of the finger in the tashahhud is harder on the shaitan than a metal hammer, if you like. It doesn't mean physically that you are hitting the shaitan. Okay, this is a misunderstanding. That for this reason, you may see some people when they're moving their finger, it is as though that they're hitting something. You're not hitting the shaitan in your salah. Okay, but it is harder upon the shaitan. When doing this particular movement of the finger while in the salah, which is a view of some of the ulama, and Allah knows best.
And Shaykh, if someone does move their finger in salah, are they in the wrong for telling someone else to do the same thing, or telling someone to stop pointing straight, or?
Yeah, see an issue like this, which is, I mean, there are many views concerning the moving of the finger. Some just actually don't move it at all, they just point with it. Okay, and they're just making dua while they're pointing with their finger, and sometimes there's very, very little movement, but just move it every now and again, as is found in the hadith in Sunan Abi Dawud, that the Prophet ﷺ كان يشير بالسبابة ويدعو بها, that the Prophet ﷺ would point with his finger and make dua with it. Now the meaning of يدعو بها, what does that mean? What does it mean that he ﷺ would make dua with it? Some have interpreted it means that every time he would make a new dua, he would move it. Again, it's another interpretation from the ulama, and it's valid. So if you happen to be doing something in the salah and you see somebody's doing something which, you see some people making circles, and it's on their side making circles like this, if you are of the view that you have sound evidences, and that you're not going to create fitna or create any kind of division and advising people like that. If you know that person, maybe you could speak to them at appropriate time. If you've never met that person, for example, and you can say, no, this is bid'ah, or you can't do this, and you're not sure why you're doing it yourself. My shaykh told me to do this. Maybe his shaykh told him to do that. So it's very important to understand and be wise when giving advice to one another. And if you have evidence to support what you're doing, then you can state that, inshallah ta'ala. But beware, you don't want to create a scene when advising people. Allah knows best. Bearing in mind that sometimes people can be quite sensitive when you're advising them about their prayer.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Shaykh, our next question from one of our viewers is, it's a kind of like a continuation from the marriage question. So the viewer asks, will a girl be sinful if they wish to favourably consider a marriage proposal freely from her father, who has expressed dislike for the person due to their race, background or culture?
So she wants to, I don't understand the question, sorry.
She wants to basically consider a proposal, and the father has outright denied it. But it's due to something cultural or racial, etc.
So what's she asking?
She's asking, is she sinful if she considers that proposal or even goes through with that proposal?
Well, there are two different issues. If you're considering it, then you're not sinful. If you go through with it, it's a completely different issue. There has to be a fair balance on both sides. That Islam has given the woman full right for her to marry the person that she wants to marry. She can't be compelled or forced to marry somebody that she doesn't want to marry. She's allowed to choose the person that she wants to marry. This is her right. It's going to be her life partner. Okay, that should be respected. Similarly, that the Prophet ﷺ said, "La nikaha illa bi wali," that there is no valid marriage except that there is the wali, the guardian, and the rightful guardian here would be the father. So they should speak to one another. If she feels that the father is saying no for un-Islamic reasons, then maybe there's a process that maybe you need to go through. Maybe the father can be advised by other people. We shouldn't, as Muslims, we don't judge people on their nationality or their color. This is haram. It's not allowed for us to do that. People should be judged on the amount of taqwa that they have. And the person will say, well, I don't know how much taqwa they've got in their heart. Then you judge them what they see apparent, what you know about them, and that's what you can make a decision on. Okay, and maybe that person is going to be a good person. So for your daughter to look after her and support her and allow her to live her life in the very best way. So both the daughter and the son, the father and the daughter should speak with one another, consult with one another, and come to a good agreement. But you have to bear in mind that there's a fair balance in this.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. We have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I got a question to ask, and the question is...
Yes, sister, what's your question?
My question is about Salah. I work long hours, and I come home just before Maghrib. I pray Maghrib, and I'm overexhausted to wait Isha. So I've asked someone, and the person explained to me that you can join straight together, so you can pray Maghrib and then straight pray Isha.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, so I just want to find out, because some of the days I hardly can just wait 10 minutes. I fall asleep because I work long hours.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, because a few times I fall asleep, I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning and I pray Isha then.
Okay.
And so please, if the Shaykh can explain it to me, if I can do that or not.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, sister.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right.
Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, the sister has expressed two things. Firstly, she works long hours and she comes home, prays her Maghrib, but sometimes she doesn't know what to do about her Isha because she's working long hours and she's tired. Firstly, what should she do about Isha? And secondly, if she were to wait for Isha and fall asleep and wake up at 4 o'clock, does she pray her Isha or would she then pray her Fajr?
Okay. So this is an issue that some Muslims they face in the summer, not in the winter. In the winter, Isha will be early.
Yeah.
And even if you came home at 4 o'clock in the evening and you were so tired and you had to sleep, you can pray your Isha 10 or 11 o'clock. You can leave it quite a few hours later. So it's not a problem in the winter.
Yeah.
Or when the Salah times are much earlier. Now we're at the height of the summer at the moment, where Maghrib and Isha are at the latest that you're going to find. Although Maghrib is coming down a little bit now.
Yeah.
What do we do in this situation? Now, if on the days where you are not working, then the Salah, the prayers should be and have to be prayed in their times. Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us in Surah An-Nisa that the prayers were designated at specific times. Okay. So the Salah, the prayers need to be prayed in their times. Now, this type of question a person is asking, is there an exception to the rule for me? Is there some form of dispensation where I can just join my prayers? Okay. So, in the UK now, we find the situation where that from the 24th of May, was it the 18th of May to the 24th of July?
Yeah, July.
Yeah? Where Salat al-Isha doesn't actually come in. So it doesn't start because you have perpetual twilight. Now, praying Maghrib at that time around 9 o'clock or so, give or take, depending on the time you're going to pray it. And then if you can wait and make a gap between that and Salat al-Isha,
Yeah.
then I say that will be preferable. Okay, if you can wait at least something 10, 15, 20 minutes or something like that, then that would be preferable, so that there's a gap between the prayers. I'm not sure the amount of work that the person's doing, but the person persistently and consistently joining the prayers every single day, in that, and I've mentioned this to some of the ulama, they say this is an issue. If a person is constantly joining the prayer, constantly joining the prayers, this is an issue. At least they can make a small gap between the prayers, especially in the height of the summer where there's perpetual twilight for Isha. Other than that, outside of that time when there's the prayers are much earlier, then maybe a person can rest for 1 or 2 hours and then they can pray Isha after that. Okay, but if it's really necessary at this time of the year, then maybe the person can join Maghrib with Isha due to the situation they're in, but not to make it a habit. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Brothers and sisters, this has been Ask Eman. Join us tomorrow for Ask Eman Late. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.